Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. In this video we are going to be talking about what if Naruto was the Sin of Wrath. So, as most of my previous videos, we're going to be joined here by What If Sensei, also known as Azazel, so he'll be introducing himself shortly. So what exactly do I mean here by wrath? Do I mean the thing that Meliodas had from Seven Deadly Sins? Well, kind of. In a way, Naruto is going to have some of the powers of that, but also we are going to be not necessarily making up our own powers, but using other powers from different anime, different shows, mangas, wikis, and different, any random thing that we find on, the internet or some shit like that. And we're like, oh, that sounds really cool, and it makes sense, and we can incorporate it into the Naruto verse in some random way, then we're probably going to use that. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm here, but basically, let's get into it. I don't know, he didn't really say anything, but it's all about me here. So, ultimately, Naruto at the age of 5, he realized he was adept in shit, right? He kind of realized he's got this, mono-type power. He's like, oh, shit, this is kind of cool, but at the same time, it comes with a price. You see, he found out most of the shit from Kurama, and this was not willingly, I guess you could say. So, Kurama, he said it out of fear. Why would he say that? Well, because this dude is a fucking Sin of Wrath. He tells him about how there's this inner source of, power or forgotten substance. And overall, that no one else knows about it anymore. It's something that most people, even if they knew about, wouldn't be able to get to because it's just so hard to find the inner core of. And if you do, you're one of the strongest individuals ever because it's just so exponential and so easy to increase its rate of just abundance. It comes in abundance. After all, the power that he truly has of chakra just came from aliens in the first place, like the Otsutsuki, so it doesn't really matter. And he was pretty astonished at this because you got to keep in mind he's 5 years old. And now, why would Kurama be scared of him? Well, it all happened on this one day, right? Strolling down the street, and there's people, and they're yelling, they're fucking getting mad, and as they see him, they scoff, and immediately he just turns and, oh shit, what's this? A monozone fucking pops up, and suddenly a giant gust of fire takes over and begins to spread across half the village. And what does Naruto do? Well, he's just sitting there, stone cold. Why? Well, he has this weird marking on his arm. It seemingly hasn't spread completely across his body, showing that this is only a portion of what he could do. And no one would have really noticed it. But narrators do. So ultimately, this power, or Kurama would have noticed and felt its presence, would have been like, holy shit, what the fuck? Yo, nah, dude, fuck that. This dude's the Sage of 6 pass level. I'm out of this bitch. So basically, he decides to cave in and tell the boy before he can truly betray him or truly just destroy him inside of it. Because if he wanted to, he could take off the seal and it could become a big issue. And Kurama was not going to fuck with that.
It's a day in the academy for Naruto, as a situation soon would happen. Naruto is just minding his own business. He's a rather angry kid. He doesn't try to get into many, different quarrels or anything like that. He just tries to stay kind of to himself. However, some of the people in the school, that just isn't going to work out for him. Some people are going to be a little bit more annoying than others, and one of these people just happens to be Sakura. Naruto has pretty much had nothing to do with Sakura for most of his life at this point, but Sakura is just an annoying bitch. She's just going on and on about Sasuke, who's better than everybody else in the academy, better than everybody else, and better in pretty much every single aspect. Naruto starts to get mildly annoyed at this. He starts to get a little angry, but it doesn't really do much until she starts talking shit about Naruto. How Naruto used to be before he realized that, he had this Sin of Wrath inside of him. He, for probably only a very, very short period of time, actually did have a slight crush on Sakura. Just a little bit of one, but this did not go unnoticed by Sakura as she began to bring this up. Everybody in the class soon turned their attention towards Naruto, who he wasn't taking kindly to this. as purple lines began forming on Naruto's right arm, as black electricity began forming off them, as it slowly made its way across Naruto's entire body, as black electricity emanated around Naruto. This is when Kurama, inside of Naruto's head, begins talking to himself. This is the real reason I was scared of Naruto from the start. It wasn't the fire, it was the cause of the fire. The black electricity that Naruto can use, that travels faster than the speed of light itself. As this began forming on Naruto's body, Naruto, at this point, completely emotionless, completely absent-minded to everything going on around him, because that's kind of like what happens whenever Naruto's using this seal or wrath, that form that he's actually using at this point. He's completely, basically immune to everything going on around him. He's completely neutral until one thing happens. Sakura goes on further. This tips Naruto a little over the edge. With Naruto being neutral, this including enemies, allies, anybody. Naruto will attack anybody when he's using this form. That includes Sakura. So Naruto turns his head towards her. With a bit of a smile on Naruto's face, he charges forward with massive speeds, around the speed of light because Naruto's using this power. He kills Sakura with one swift blow.
Or so he thought. Alright, so, as the man said, ultimately it was as he thought. Or he ends up finding out as he goes back into his normal state. He sees the shocked faces of everyone around him, and he's ultimately looked at as a monster. But he doesn't give a shit. Well, he doesn't really give a fuck, alright, to be honest. And he looks over and sees Sakura being carried away, ultimately just to be announced as a paraplegic, to be someone who is disabled and can no longer fucking move whatsoever. And, yeah, she has no fucking legs either. That sucked. Ultimately, they were just blown the fuck up. Yeah, she's fucked. She's like paralyzed from the neck below, and then she only has like her arms and her legs are just gone, bro. But ultimately, it leads towards him going on a training arc. He's like, man, this power, it was phenomenal. I gotta train this. So he goes out into the fucking, what would be the like forest itself, and begins to do rapid training for the next month to 2 months, up until he begins to feel what is Kurama inside of him. And Kurama ultimately just wanted to get into a conversation and ask him something. He ultimately looked in, or called in Naruto, as Naruto stares into the black cage, and he's like, hey man, that's pretty impressive power there, but you can have even more if you undo this seal. And Naruto is a little tedious, or he's a little skeptical, if you want to say. As he's looking, he's like, what's to say you're not going to betray me? And he's like, dude, you think I'm retarded? I fucking saw what you did. I don't want to fight against you. Speed of light look, fucking attacks and shit. No, fuck that. He's like, oh, well, that's a very valid point. So he decides, he'll give it a shot. If this dude is lying, then his form will probably come out, and he'll probably end up killing him. So, it doesn't matter. So as he goes over and begins to remove the paper seal, suddenly a bright form appears of Minato, as he begins to grab onto Naruto's shoulder and bring him back down. He tries to talk him out of it, showing or telling him about being his father. However, Naruto doesn't care. He simply shrugs off the hand and says back off. Minato, looking onward, is simply in shock. What would make his son like this? He has no idea. However, he says he can't let Naruto go and do this. It's not the best thing for him to do. As Minato tries to stop his son one more time by grabbing the cuff of his jacket or coat, immediately he is dispersed. All of the chakra in the surrounding area was interfered with the monozone, ultimately causing it to go in rupture and cause an explosion, causing Minato to feel the pain, or this chakra version of Minato to feel the pain, in death. Ultimately, he goes over and does take off the seal. As he takes off the seal, he feels a large presence of power begin to surface. He doesn't know what it is, but it's coming from the other side of the village. And not just normal chakra. No, this is mana.